record. And you're good to go.
All right, we're back. Terry and Gary's Low Expectations podcast, episode 44. Can't believe we made it this far, but we have. Today we have former ECW wrestling superstar Chili Willie. How you doing, Chili?
Yo, what's up? What's going on, guys? How you guys doing? Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Do I call you Chili or Mr. Willie or what do we call you?
Chili's fine, man.
Chili's fine. And before we get started, we'll have to address the elephant not in the room. Rhino is not with us today. You may notice he's, the guy we have today instead is way cuter. He's the most eligible bachelor in all the Midwest. He is the bachelor pro wrestler. And also he's my third favorite Palicki behind Eric and Adrian. Bachelor Ben Boone. How you doing, Ben?
Yeah. Hey, doing great. And thank you for having me co-host Terry and Gary's, or should we say Palicki and Paulette, lowered expectations. Expectations have now just bottomed out. So I'm sorry really, that you have to see this, but we're gonna make it work.
Yeah, exactly.
Rating.
Definitely.
So let's just get into it. I'm gonna go to this new special we have going here, a new segment on the podcast. It's called Where's Rhino?
Yeah. Exactly.
Started Saturday. We're trying to explain why he's not here. So we're at the breakfast Saturday, and he's going through his phone. He's showing me pictures of boats, and he's showing me his fanny pack collection on his phone, and it's all good and stuff. And all of a sudden he says, "Hey, Gary, I put an ad on Craigslist." I'm like, "All right, that's cool." I didn't really want to know why, but he said, "Yeah, I want to be abducted by aliens again." So see, he's thought he's been abducted by aliens a few times. I don't want to, shoot his parade now. So I was all right, cool, yeah. We'll have some good stuff to talk about on the podcast when you get back. Well, then Saturday night I get a text that says they're here, and I'm like, who's here? Who the hell's here? What are you talking about? I text him back. I call him, nothing. So a few days goes by. Last night he texts me, "I can't do the show. See you next week, hopefully." So. Well, Terry's either abducted by aliens or he's in somebody's freezer in Taylor, but he's not here with us today. Ben, thanks for stepping up. Willie, we're going to have a great show, and let's get started by finding out how you got to the ECW. What's your wrestling course?
Oh, man, I started, it's a long story, but like everyone else, man, I wanted to be a wrestler when I was about 8 or 9, I didn't get into the ring for the first time until about 1990. I tried out at Larry Sharp's in Paulsboro, New Jersey. And but at the time I was married, but I was living in Rochester, New York. So going from Rochester all the way down to Paulsboro, New Jersey, that's a hump. So I did the tryout, didn't have the money. It wasn't until 1996 when I tried out for WCW Power Plant, and I passed that power plant. There was like 30 guys there, so only like 3 guys left, and then didn't have the money for that school, to join the power plant. So I went back to North Carolina, where I'm from, and there was a independent show going on in my old high school. Steve Carino was there, C.W. Anderson, Joey Matthews, the Hardy Boys, Lodi, some of those guys were there. And this is before they all really made it big. And I linked up with C.W. Anderson's cousin. His name was Dan Wright, who was doing the PA system. And got his number and started training there. C.W. Anderson started training me, and it was me and like 2 other guys, and that's how I started wrestling. And make a long story short, around 2000, CW and Steve Carino invited me to go up to ECW one night, and I went up there, hung out for like a weekend. Did a dark match with Julio De Niro at the Boathouse or Lighthouse somewhere in Virginia, and that's how it started. And but I was on the ring crew and wrestling at the same time, so I was doing the ring crew and I was wrestling, making $75. for a night, pretty much. Yeah.
But hell, that's $75 a night. I mean, that might as well felt like $500 or $1,000 for the opportunity that you were given. I'm sure, right?
actually, it was 75 for putting up the ring and 75 for wrestling. Tommy Dreamer said, "Hey, I can, if you want to get on the show, I mean, if you want to wrestle with us, there's an opening in the ring crew because I think Angel and some of the other guys, DeVito, I'm not quite sure if DeVito was on the ring crew or not, but I know Angel was on the ring crew and he wanted to get off, and so I kind of like took his spot, and that's how that happened. But yeah, I was gun ho, man. I was like, yeah, let's do this, and didn't matter to me. I sacrificed. I had a job, quit my job. I was driving from North Carolina to Philadelphia, picking up Michael Keener, the referee, and then he would jump in my car. We drive from Philadelphia to Long Island to pick up the ring truck, and from there we drive all over, come back to Long Island, get back in my car, take Michael Keener back to his house, and then I would drive all the way back to North Carolina. So that was my, time at ECW, doing that for a while, for a long time, maybe about 6-7 months.
And you came into ECW towards the end of it, right?
Yeah, 2000. I was there maybe the last year.
Last year.
Yep.
ECW.
So let me ask, since you came into ECW towards the tail end, did you pick up on the feeling that like the end was near for ECW, or were you still just along for the ride and just like, hey, whatever happens?
Yo, I'm gonna tell you. First of all, I didn't really know. When I went to ECW with Steve Carino and CW when they invited me up there, I had no clue what ECW was. I never watched it, never heard about it. I saw Paul on at the time WCW, NWA, I guess back in the day, but I didn't really know that there were a show going on or a wrestling company. And so when I got there, everything was like brand new to me. It was like, oh, it was like I'm wrestling on this with this company or whatever. And we had like it was sort of like cliques. So you had your upper guys like Rob Van Dam, Jerry Lynn, Ryan Oliver guys. Then you had your mid-carder guys like your CW Andersons and Kid Cash guys. And then you had guys like me who was on a ring crew. And so it was like we were like left out in the dark a lot, because we were like the last ones to know what was going on. They just told us to meet us, meet them in Ohio or Chicago or whatever, set the ring up. That was it. We didn't know what was going on until the very last tail end of it, and then we were like, oh shit, And so we heard rumors kind of, but for us as the ring crew people, we just got the orders, and we go to this venue here, set up, and then guys would come in, and everybody had their sad face on, like, and the morale would be like, but for me, some of the guys on the ring crew, we were just like happy just to be there wrestling and shit, and but everyone else, those big guys who's making big money, they were pissed off, man. And so, like I said, we didn't know until like the end, and that was it. That was it for us. It was just like we were like the young brother in the family, always the last to know shit.
Did you continue after ECW?
No, well, after ECW, I saw the writing on the wall because I was already 30, 31, something like that. And so I kind of got in the game a little bit late. And so I saw once they said, okay, once Tommy and them said, this is going to be our last show. And he said, you don't have to fly out or whatever. Because at that time I was flying out by that time. I got off the ring crew, started flying. And I said, okay, I need to really get a job, but 9/11 hit. And so I said, man, I need a job. I need a job, and I need it bad, and I said, I always kind of wanted to be in the military. So here's my opportunity. So I went and I signed up for the Army. And that's what happened in 2001. I said, I'm out. And I just put down the boots and put on my other boots, my other military boots. And the rest is history. I went straight to war, and that was it.
Right, and that's something I think that not a lot of people know about you, is that right after ECW folded, that you enlisted in our armed services, and thank you very much for your service and everything that you've contributed. Now, since leaving the business in 2001, have you been keeping tabs on everything going on with the major promotions, the independents?
Yeah, when I when I came back, right. I got hurt in Iraq, and so I did 1 year. And prior to me coming back to stateside, I was getting a lot of emails like from Paul and all the wrestlers. And so Paul said he has to support me when I came back. So when I came back, I had a message from WWE and then TNA. I had no clue what TNA was. Of course, I knew what WWE was, and so took that call, talked to Paul, and they invited me out. Got signed with them and wrestled in OVW developmental for almost a year. Got washed out, and John Laurinaitis was like, "Hey, Chili, because they wanted me to do a gimmick like a GI Bro gimmick." I was like, "Hell no." I couldn't feel it, you know what I mean? That's Booker T shit. That's not mine. I can't do that, And they were gonna like put me up with Sergeant Slaughter. He was gonna be like my mentor or something. And I just I don't want to do no military gimmick. Mind you, I'm coming straight from war back into wrestling. So my mind really was still on military. And when I got into the ring, it was really physical. It was like I was missing a lot of spots because I wanted to, my aggression was still at war mode, and so I wasn't really feeling the, we work together in wrestling, I wanted to like really, I wanted to do something, you know what I mean? And I couldn't get my mind off, but so I wrestled there for a while, and then I left, and I kind of kept in touch with what was going on in the scene. I would watch some WWE here. I didn't really watch TNA. Ring of Honor was coming around. I didn't really watch that. And so now, that was back in 2004, 2005. Now I watch a little here and there. I watch the major shows, the major events, shall I say. And now, I try to keep in touch with, keep myself up with like AEW, and things like that. Yeah.
Now, were you a big fan of wrestling growing up, or was this something that just?
Oh no, I was a huge fan, man. I was like I said, I would watch WWF, and then that was when I was living in New Jersey because my grandmother took care of me, and then I would go down to my mom in North Carolina and watch NWA. So I was like, WWF, the Moondogs, Pedro Morales, Johnny Roz, Jimmy Snooker, Bob Backlund, and then I would go to North Carolina and I watch Ric Flair, Ronnie Piper, Rick Steamboat, and so all of that, man, I was just like a huge fan. I didn't want to do anything else but wrestle. But in my high school, we didn't have wrestling. We only had football, basketball. And so I was pretty decent in football. My coach he asked me if I wanted to play college ball. And I was like, not really. I really want to go somewhere and learn how to wrestle. You know what I mean? And we would get those magazines back in the day, and they would have the wrestling magazines, and they would have if you want to be a wrestler, write to us, Killer Kowalski School or whatever. And I was like 16 years old on the weightlifting team and took a picture, sent it to them. and got a response back. Like yeah, come on up to Boston or wherever the school was, and you can train to be a wrestler. But I didn't have the funds, man. I never had the funds. I didn't have the funds until I was 27, working at a job and everything. So it costs to be a wrestler. People think, you just get in there and, you just wrestle. No, it costs. It costs a lot. You got to pay your training, your body, your nutrition and everything, your gear, your transportation is very important. You know what I mean? How you going to be a wrestler? You don't have a car. You don't have transportation. So, all of that shit, man. I was lacking everything. But once I had a job and I was, making pretty good money, then I could wrestle. But the time was jacked up. You know what I mean? It's either work or you try to do this thing that you really want to do. And so that took over when I went to ECW. It took over, and so I just sacrificed. And thank God it came out pretty good.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's one of those struggles too, that that no matter what era, that like when you start out, you have to find work to supplement your professional wrestling.
Yeah.
What was it, if you're allowed to say, what was it that you were doing in your early years in wrestling? Where were you working?
On the independent circuit in North Carolina, man, I was working like I said, I started in '97. So I was on the circuit with occasionally the Hardy Boys will be around. Like I said, CW trained me, so I would be on certain shows with guys like Joey Matthews, Lodi, Joey Abs. He used to be one of the
Mean Street Posse.
There you go.
Yep.
Christy York, Joey Matthews, and so I was around those guys. Those guys were going up, like the Hardys. They were going up doing dark matches for WWE. Lodi went down in WCW. Joey Abs, like I said, he had already been up, and so I was getting my feet wet with guys like that, and then just other North Carolina promotions that I was working for, and so a lot of guys came through. Like we worked for a guy named Grog, King's Bar in Raleigh, very popular. Shane Helms would be there, the Dups, Casey McKnight, which he's known as Dak Hardwood now. Before he moved up, Rick Link, the legend Rick Link, you know what I mean? So Manny Fernandez, there was a lot of talent going through there. And so I got my foot wet working around those guys. Yeah.
In your time, did you ever get a chance to wrestle any of your like icons or anybody that you really loved to follow when you were younger?
Not Ric Flair's my all-time greatest that I wanted to wrestle. I didn't necessarily want to wrestle with him. I just wanted to see him. You know what I mean? It wasn't until later where I saw him in a show in South Carolina, and he just walked right by me. I was like, oh shit, it's Ric Flair. So, but
That's how Ben does me.
Yeah, watching TV. Barbarian was one that the Powers of Pain. Those guys, me and a friend of mine, we tagged one time and we wrestled those guys. This is at ECW, and so there were some people that, like I said, I would see them, but I didn't ever wrestle. I didn't really have a long career of like actually wrestling. My stint was ECW, boom, military. I came out, did a couple of indie shows, and then I traveled like Costa Rica and stuff like that. So I was in and out like that, what I mean? But sometimes I wish I would have stayed in it. And if I would have probably stayed in it, then I probably would have went somewhere like Ring of Honor or try to go TNA. Because I didn't know TNA. I didn't know Scott D'Amore was, at that time, he was also involved in the back office with TNA. And me and Scott, we worked each other when I was in ECW. And so when I came out of the military, I didn't go to TNA because I didn't know what it was, and I didn't know that he was like doing some things. So every time I think about it, I'm like, damn, I could have, hooked up with Scotty, and he would have had me a job doing something that, at TNA. But no, I didn't really wrestle a lot of my superstars that I wanted to wrestle because I got into business late.
Is ECW how you met Rhino also?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They Paul put us together a couple of times, and I was terrified as shit. I was like, oh shit, because when I first started with ECW, like I said, I didn't know none of these guys. I didn't know Sandman, New Jack. I didn't know nobody, and so I had to really, as the time went on, resting on the show, and I would see how the crowd react to certain people. I would say, oh, these guys are major star here. This guy is kind of like a mid-carder or whatever. And when Rhino hit, man, it was like people were like, oh, wow, And so the one time that I don't know when exactly I got in the ring with Rhino, but excuse me, I do remember him. I was nervous, and I don't get nervous around a lot of people, you know what I mean? But I just said, damn, I'm getting ready to go out here and wrestle Rhino. And I was like, yo, what do I do? And so he came to me or whatever. I went to him, whatever, and he calmed me down or whatever. And we went out there, and of course he gored me and shit. And that was it. I was like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
This is how it is. I was like, this is how it goes, But with ECW crowd, man, they're very hostile. But luckily, I didn't get too much of the hostile, shit from them. I didn't get that. Who the F are you? And all this. It was like because my charisma was pretty decent, and then I would do pretty good. So I would go out, I would dance, I'll come in, and I had a pretty good physique at the time, so people didn't really shit on me too much,
Yeah.
And but they did put me with Rhino once a couple of times, and so that was pretty cool. Then they put me with tag with Sandman, Balls. So yeah, it was pretty good, But yeah, Rhino he scared the shit out of me at first. So I was like,
So I think that's really fascinating that you touched upon how Rhino really made you very apprehensive, but then once you got to be in the ring with him, he calmed you down because Rhino was one of the very first names that I worked with. This will be my 14 years in the business next month.
wow.
So but I didn't really link up with Rhino until I think my third or fourth year through another gentleman, CK3, goes by Crimson now. But at first, I mean, and you know how he is, he could be, he's a big dude, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you don't know if he's joking around or not because he's very, matter of fact in how he says things.
Right.
But once he gets to know you, he'll let up. But he did a great job of calming me down too, because it's like, oh God, it's like this is one of my first names. I have to do this, and he calmed me down, working, what some might call that main event style. But and Rhino's been good to so many people on the independents now, taking people like myself under his wing, other people in the business like Brian Castle, and he's consistently found work and since ECW, WWE, with TNA, back with Impact now. So I mean, it's great for people like him, those ring generals, those veterans that are willing to pay it forward and help the next generation and the people that are still coming up. So I guess my question to you in following that up, I know that you said that you still keep tabs with things going on in WWE, AEW. What do you see in the business now that's changed since leaving the business, since ECW, since you're sitting OVW, things that have maybe have gotten better, maybe things that could be improved upon? I mean, just things that you see from your own eyes.
Well, what I see is especially, we have to talk with the big major one, which is WWE, because it seems like everyone else follows them. From the time that, not just when I was in WWE or ECW, but even when I was a younger kid, seeing wrestling, times have changed because of the corporation status of WWE. I think they have to listen to what their corporation sponsors are telling them. So like for instance, blood or juicing. You don't see that much. Whereas when we grew up, we saw that, especially in pay-per-views. You would see a chair shot split somebody's head open, and now a chair shot doesn't do shit. It's like people are kicking out of it, and it's like, it's so little things like that I've seen where things have changed. The pace is faster. A little, I think that the wrestling has progressed to the point of it's fast, and you're supposed to change. I think everything as you get older, certain things change. You change with it, like time. But when I look at it now, especially now with this Thunderdome thing, if you look at it, it almost looks animated with the coloring and the lighting, and it just doesn't look. It doesn't, to me. It doesn't feel like pro wrestling. It's like something else, like I don't know, different,
like theater.
I don't. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And I'm not knocking the performers or anything like that, because they're making good money, they're feeding their families, and they're doing what they love, and who wouldn't want to be there, But I think the backdrop of it, of like the writers and whoever the producers in the back, those people are coming from like Hollywood, or coming from somewhere they're not wrestlers, or they haven't been in wrestling, or they haven't done independent wrestling. And so they're writing things and they're doing things, and the wrestlers are coming from a background of wrestling. Like maybe some come from independent, but they go to the performance center, but they're being told what to do by these people who are not wrestlers and not, it's like me being in the military, training how to fight and training how to shoot and how to group my shots. But then I have these congressmen or these fucking lay people who come telling me, okay, well, you need to shoot over here. And this. It's just, so I think with all that, man, it's just, I don't know. It's different.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. It's different. It's just not bad. It's just different, And I think a lot of people see it. Like when Undertaker made that statement that he see wrestlers that are I think he feels soft or something like that. I don't think he was talking about the person being soft, like you being soft, like because each individual, you don't know what they know. We as wrestlers, we work with each other. We know what the deal is. You know what I mean? We know what the outcome is going to be. So I can't say that you're soft, because in a real fight, I don't know what you know. You don't know what I know. You know what I mean? But I think what he was saying was that is the product, because of the corporation. And you got so many people watching it, or got their dibs on it. They can't do what they used to do.
Yeah.
And that makes wrestling more, I don't know, soft, I think, because that's why you have more guys flipping and doing all kind of stuff, and kicking out of shit that they shouldn't be kicking out of, like if Shawn Michaels is on if you're working Shawn Michaels in the main event, Shawn Michaels is going to give you a super kick. I'm in the first match. If I super kick Rhino and he kicks out, that just kills your whole shit. You know what I mean? So it's like, why would you do that? You know what I mean? So I think we need to get back, as wrestlers, get back to the real basic, and make it better, I guess. I don't know. It's just weird.
Oh, I feel you. Well, what do you think, Ben? You've been in the industry for 14 years now. What do you think about that question you asked?
Yeah, so I mean, and there's a lot to unpack, so I'll try to address it as succinctly as possible. I think the first being with the Undertaker comment with the business or things getting too soft. I think that a lot of people took that line out of context. I think specifically just to create a narrative that wasn't there. You know what I mean? So, because I know that's a big trend in social media, is to create some sort of narrative or some sort of division, just for the sake of it. But yeah, and I think you're right too. And being in locker rooms too, where the first match might be a scramble, and you're seeing all these like amazing finisher moves. You're seeing Canadian destroyers, and you're seeing springboard stunners, and you're seeing all this. And by the time the main event comes, you're like, shit, what do we do? So like my I and this is a pretty relaxed show, like with my character and everything. Like I'm a very character heavy. I draw my inspirations from like the Ric Flairs, the Jerry Lawlers, the Terry Funks.
Right.
You know what I mean? Where like I put more emphasis on the work, and I have roses, so I have props to work off from, and I have selling too, whether I'm a babyface or a heel. And that's the story of the match, and whatever the finish is, that happens. But I make sure that if they're hitting the finish, they're doing it once. I'm not kicking out of it and then going to it again. That's, I think, an overdone thing. That's okay if you're doing it with a Rock and Austin, if they have years and years of build and storyline. But if this is the first match and you do Canadian Destroyer and you kick out at one, well, what the hell are you gonna do, man? Like
exactly. It's like I saw online briefly. I don't know if it was New Japan Wrestling, but it was a Japanese wrestling match. I didn't see the whole match. I just saw a clip. And the guy had 3 or 4 workers inside the ring with him, and he was backed into the turnbuckle. Well, he pulls out a gun.
Oh shit!
He pulls out a gun as if to say, hey, this is my finisher. And so I said,
new kind of finisher.
So I said to myself, that's what it's coming to. I mean, how else everyone is kicking out of everything. You kicking out what else? How can I keep you down with a pin? Do I gotta shoot you to keep you down? You know what I mean? And so the irony of it was, what is it coming to? Is it coming to that? You know what I mean? Because wrestling is, we know what it is. Like I said, it's not MMA like, we know. So but the thing is, the people don't know, and that's the beauty of it. And we have to shock them in a sense of not showing them who the winner is until we want to show them who the winner is. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I don't know, man. I just think it's, it's different. And then you look at guys like this Soldier Boy coming out, this rapper, talking trash, about how wrestling is fake and this and this and that and this and this and that. Well, if you listen to homie, get in the ring with one of us, you know what I mean?
I seen Randy Orton.
And then you will see,
Come on in.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly, and I think that's the point too. Like of a wrestling card, you want at the end of the night, you want the audience to come back feeling more. When I was a young fan, like ECW, that was early high school for me. I was always left wanting more after the show would end on TNN, not like, shit, I'm exhausted.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of finishers, Chili, what was yours? Did you have a certain finishing move you'd like to use, or?
Yeah. Mine, I stole it. I don't know who I stole it from, but like we all still. It was a Falcon Arrow. You have up in a suplex, you sit down on it.
Oh yeah.
And so that was my my finisher. I was a big snooker fan. I always wanted to go up to the top, but I said my fat ass can't get up there and do that, man. I'm scared to get hurt, and things like that. Like I said, I got into business a little bit late. I was 30 something when I got to ECW. So I was already like not really willing to take certain risk off the top rope or anything like that. But I did want to come off the top rope, with a finisher, but I just never did. I think the most I did was a leg drop or off the top rope.
And also, Gary, Chili Willy had probably one of the greatest themes in ECW, DMX's Party Up, which was huge in the early 2000s. That was the only reason. That's why, I loved you when I watched ECW.
Thanks.
Party Up is playing. Here comes Chili Willy.
Yeah, that was the thing. I was before I went to ECW, I was Chili Willy the ghetto superstar.
Mhm.
So I would come out to the song Ghetto Superstar, Ghetto Superstar,
Proud.
that is what you are, whatever. And then when I went to ECW, I changed it. I went to Q-Tip first, but then when I heard the DMX song, y'all gonna make me lose my mind. Up it, I said, that man, that was just too hot for me, man. You know what I mean? So, but I had a good time. Man. I really had a good time. I really thank Paul and Tommy and Steve Carino and C-Dub and everyone, man, who helped me out. Angel, Simon Diamond, Dawn, Francine, everyone. You know, I had a good time there, man. I don't regret not one time or one day being in ECW. Loved every minute of it. Loved it.
Well, we had a good time too.
I was green as a green horn. Yeah, I was green as a green horn, man. But I loved it. You know what I mean? There was a lot of guys who walked me through my matches. I mean, a lot.
So I gotta ask you, you're in the Philippines, right?
Yes.
What took you to the Philippines?
Yeah.
It's like
2000. Let me see. 2009. I was wrestling independent. Me and a friend of mine. We were called the American Gangsters. I took that from the movie American Gangsters, and not gangster, but American Gangsters. I'm sorry. And so we were doing a tag team there, and then we worked in NWA Charlotte for a little bit, and just on the independent circuit. And for some reason, I just said, you know what? I'm done with it. I'm done with wrestling. I'm gonna go to Costa Rica. And so I just one day got up and moved to Costa Rica, stayed there for about 4 or 5 years. Then I came back to America, stayed in America for a year. But no, I'm sorry. 2009 was the first time I went to the Philippines. I came to the Philippines in 2009 just for a month. I was watching TV, watched the Travel Channel, Anthony Bourdain, and there's a guy named Zimmerman, and they were eating exotic foods. And I was like, shit, where is this place? And so they said the Philippines, and then they said they had a military base here before, back in the 90s. And I said, oh man, I want to try that out. And so I researched, and being that I was a veteran, I'm a veteran, I looked it up and I saw that they had a veterans hospital here. So I said, what if I go there? I'll be okay. I can get all my medical stuff done. And so I came here for a month, and then I went back to America, went to Costa Rica for 4 years. And then I came back here in 2015. And I've been here since 2015, man. And just love it, you know. Just good people, good food, good times, and
that's all that matters.
it is what it is, Yeah, they actually have they had 2 wrestling companies when I first came here. PWR, Philippine Wrestling Revolution, and then MWF, which is Manila Wrestling Federation. And so I helped out pretty much like consulting with both of those companies. And then I trained my own students one time back in 2017, AOW. And I had about 25 students at that time. But since then, that company has exploded, and so my wrestlers went different places. But yeah, they're trying to have a wrestling scene here. They have a lot of fans that like wrestling here, But of course, boxing and mixed martial arts here is number one. So besides basketball.
So are you training? Are you still training, or is?
No, I haven't really. Well, because of the pandemic, that really stopped last year. We were training a little bit last year. I was helping out with the MWF Federation, and so, but since the pandemic, no. And the PWR, they had Jeff Cobb go there. He did a match there, and then I think the last major star was TJP, He was in PW, he went to PWR.
Mhm.
But in NWF, they had I'll link back up with Tajiri. Tajiri came over a couple of times. So me and him, we connected, and so, but since the pandemic, nothing's been going on here.
Well, we have a question here. Well, not a question. We have a statement saying that Ben, need to get your passport because they want to see a Bachelor Ben Boone versus Chili Willy in the Philippines. So
Once the pandemic ends, man, I'm all about it. It's how you feel about it.
No doubt.
Decision to you, Chili Willy. If you want to, you're the vet here in this situation. It's
Yes, sir. That would be awesome. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I'll let you take all the bumps since I got older.
hey, Chili, we gotta wrap it up. We gotta wrap it up. I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you giving your time. I know it's early in the morning there, and thank you for coming on. Thank you, Ben.
Yeah.
Do you have anything you want to say as far as
Thank you guys, man.
pages you want people to follow, or anything you got going on you want to shout out before we leave?
No, just we have I co-host a podcast show myself. We had Rhino on maybe 2 weeks ago. It's called A&C Podcast Unravel. I'm a co-host. Have a young talented guy named Andrew Campbell. He's like I call him the Jim Ross guy. And so you guys can, if you see that on, we pretty much do it on Saturdays at 8:00 at night. On Saturdays, and I forgot what channel. It goes YouTube and somewhere else. He has all the information. Just knows A&C Podcast Unravel. So, and then I do my own little thing here in the Philippines called CRIMA, which is Combat Ready International Mixed Martial Arts. That's my own little podcast that I do on my YouTube channel. I probably have like 3 or 4 followers. So. Yeah.
That's 3 or 4 more than we do.
Trying to get that going. So, but that's about it, man. And just on Facebook, I'm on Instagram and have about 3 or 4 followers there. So, I'm old school and I'm just trying to stay relevant. You know what I mean? I thank you guys for having me on.
No, we thank you. And Ben, thank you for coming on. Do you have anything you want to say real quick, Ben?
Just to first and foremost, thank you for having me on as a last minute host. This was a blast. Hopefully, we can do this again. Just follow me Instagram, Twitter at BenjaminBoone1. Yeah, man, Chili Willy. I mean, from a very young ECW fan, 15-year-old Ben is screaming right now, and that's no exaggeration. So thank you. This was a blast.
Wow.
Probably the first time, man.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much.
Chili Willy. So
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Thank you, brother. Thank you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much. Hey, next week, tune in. We got Tony Schiavone from AEW. He's just a wrestling legend, and Dirk Manning. They're going to talk about their new Kickstarter coming out called Butts in the Seats. So make sure you tune in there. Maybe Ryan will be back. Maybe Ben will be back. We don't know. So tune in, check it out. Subscribe on Spotify, iHeartRadio.
I got one thing.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Chili.
I got one thing. Tell Tony Schiavone he needs to hire Tell Tony Schiavone he needs to hire C.W. Anderson. Make him a horseman.
C.W. Anderson. Will do. I got it wrote down, so it's in the book. All right, we're out of here, guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week. Terry and Gary's Low Expectations Podcast.
Thank you.
Out here, Dave.